welcome to UC Today. My name's David Dungay. We are back for another UC Partner Trend Session. Today, we're going to be talking about FMC. I'm joined by Zeus, Kerravala and Mark Bunnell. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you both?
Good. I'm doing well. I love the topic.
Fantastic. So before we delve into the exciting world of FMC, that's Fixed-Mobile Convergence, let's do a few quick introductions. Zeus, do you want to kick us off there?
Sure. I'm Zeus Kerravala, independent analyst with my own firm, ZK Research. I've been doing this about a dozen years or so. I was the chief research officer at Yankee Group before that. From a coverage area, I primarily focus on emerging technologies and how they disrupt communications and networking, and certainly mobile's been a big part of that for a long time.
And Mark.
Yeah, I'm Mark Bunnell. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder here at Nuwave. So I handle all the global network operations, the customer experience, and the architecture of our iPilot software platform.
Great. Well, let's get straight into our first question. Fixed mobile convergence is not a new term. It's a term that's been thrown around the industry for quite a number of years. But is 2023 the year FMC takes off? And what is that market opportunity for partners right now? Who wants to start us off on that one? Mark, do you want to give us your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is the year that it really starts to get some traction. There's actual products in the market. There's buzz and things going on with UC, and this becomes another aspect of how you access that voice. So this is the year that I actually think that you actually start getting users that are using it and across different platforms. So the start is here finally. How much that really takes off is yet to be seen, but the start is here.
I think one of the differences. Yeah, I think one of the differences though is that it's scalable. You're right. FMC isn't a new term, right? We've had FMC all the way back to the Nortel, days, and Vi used to have the EC 500, and back then it was very. The user was the integration point. They had to determine what call it went to, tied up a lot of trunk lines, and so not a lot of people used it. Because it was expensive and because there was so much emphasis on the user to do it. And now, through companies like iPilot, much of that can be automated, right? And so I think that allows it to scale. So I think we've jerry-rigged FMC, I suppose, is perhaps the right term for it, to make it work versus just having it work without the user having to do a lot of heavy lifting. And, anytime you make the user the integration point for technology, it's destined to fail. And that's why we've seen slow adoption historically.
Always good for an opinion there, Zeus. What do you make of that, Mark? Have we jerry-rigged FMC? What are your thoughts?
I wholeheartedly agree. It's been around, the term for decades. It hasn't really taken off, and I think that he hit the nail on the head. That when you expect the user to be the control point, it definitely has problems. And we're even starting to see now with the different players on the cloud side. What is the methodology and how you deliver that service and how you provision that service? And the jury's still out on what people are actually going to land on. So yes, it does work in some fashions, but there's also a couple of different methodologies that it's being used. And so until we really get to that point where it's the same standard for everyone, I think it's still going to be slower to pick up steam.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So, Zeus, what are you seeing out in the market right now? From businesses that are considering a mobile-first approach, is this going to become the strategy for business users? What do you think?
Oh yeah, mobile's everything, right? I think that's one of the things with the UC industry, Dave, that most of the vendors have traditionally thought desktop first, and then mobile was the add-on. Where much of the workforce, you think your traditional, professional worker, campus workers, field service people, the majority of workforce today is mobile first, right? The whole shift to hybrid work has pushed us that way as well, and so I think we've been trending this way for a long time. I do think the vendor community, I think it's fair to say, has been slow to adapt to that because they did think desktop first and they figured out how to make mobile the add-on. And even if you look at the mobile clients and things from most of the UC vendors, they tended to never be feature parity with the desktop. But I think more and more companies are starting to think mobile first because that's the preferred way of working today.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk a little bit around Microsoft Teams Phone Mobile. Mark, what are the main advantages of Microsoft Teams Phone Mobile? I mean, obviously we've seen the proliferation of Teams. Businesses are sort of beginning to become mobile centric. But what is the advantages of that over like a direct routing or a operator connect style service?
Well, I mean, you're still delivering basically is making it another endpoint, and so it's another way to access it. So some of the key points is that when you're using the mobile app and you have to have a wireless connection, Wi-Fi connection, to have the good quality, that can be a hindrance in some places, especially if you're out and about, and so. Being able to have the actual voice come through the 5G network is gives you a better quality of service. You don't have all of the breakups and things that go on there. So from a quality perspective, that's one of the main benefits. Being able to be on the go and to be able to have another endpoint access. I think that's where you're going to see the biggest benefit. And then to Zeus's point, before. It's going to be a mobile first kind of play for those that have a mobile, network. So if you're talking about, AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile and those kind of players, right, then that is really the phone first and mobile phone first, kind of play. But then you also have to have the choice because you have a lot of other, players that don't have a mobile network. And so, getting the ability to mix and match those carriers to give the other partners kind of an offering is going to be key to see how that kind of plays out in the market.
Yeah. Okay. So, Zeus, give us your opinion on Microsoft Teams Phone Mobile. I know you're heavily looking at this market. What are your thoughts on that service and what it means for partners?
Yeah, well, I think it's good because to Mark's point, it is mobile, right? It's not you don't have to deal with the conversion of SIP to PSTN to the mobile network and things, which is what we did historically, right? The historical mobile offerings didn't connect directly to the mobile network. There was always some kind of trunk line that you had to go over, then you had to bridge the mobile network, and that makes troubleshooting really difficult. If a call's not working, you don't know where in that chain the problem is. Now, if a call's not working, you have a pretty good idea. And I used to hear users complain sometimes that they'd be on a mobile call, right, and the mobile indicator on their phone shows good connectivity, but yet the call's not good. But there's somewhere in that chain, where it's not working. And also, anytime you do any kind of conversion from PSTN to SIP, connecting from the fixed network to the mobile network, you lose a little bit of quality, right? The mobile networks today have so much bandwidth. They do wideband audio and things. And so just from a quality of experience perspective, the less complicated you make something, the better your experience is going to be, right? It's simple math, right? An equation with 10 variables is a lot more complicated to solve than one. And, I think that, I've been pretty critical of Teams in some areas, but I think this is one area they did get it right. It's, native integration with mobile is ultimately the right way to do it. It's not, we're not trying to backdoor something into, fitting a, connectivity type that was never designed for.
Yeah. What about the partner skills, Mark? In terms of partners and the skills they need to onboard propositions like Teams Phone Mobile, what do they need these days? We used to see that quite siloed approach to partners. We had mobile specialists, we had telephony specialists, and IT is that still the case? And what kind of skill set do they need to sort of make the most of a service like this?
Well, I think that is kind of the space that we play in, right? Is being able to auto provision those services, combine those services with other traditional things. And so it's about having one single kind of data entry for a person who can provision the entire life cycle of the service, no matter if it's mobile or otherwise. And so, the proliferation of service delivery tools like what we do is going to really help in that whole process to eliminate the need for complex engineers and things like that are really hard to find or really expensive. And so that'll get easier and easier for service delivery as time goes on.
Fantastic. So we were talking before we came on about the future of FMC. I mean, maybe Zeus, you can kick us off on this one. You know, how are you expecting this world of mobile to evolve over the next 2 to 3 years? And maybe, you know, is FMC even the right terminology now? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually think it's time for us to retire the term FMC, Dave. I know what this session's on, and I think it's good we used it for this so people understand what it is we're talking about. But FMC was about trying to fix or converge your fixed and mobile networks, and there's no real need to do that today. Today we're just mobile, right? And what Mark talks about is just being able to provision voice. And so the reason, Mark, to your point, that we needed all those different engineers is because we were trying to converge two environments that were never really designed to be converged, right? And so you had to do it at a user level, or you had to do it at a system level, or somewhere you had to tie the networks back together. But I think, the more we talk about FMC, we talk about the delineation of these two different environments. And today we just want to deliver voice that's mobile. And I think it is time to retire it and just think of voice as being something that's inherently mobile. And frankly, that's the whole benefit of doing things over IP and over SIP and over WebRTC and all these advanced protocols. It was about decoupling those services from the network and allowing them to be fixed or mobile, right? However we want to deliver it, but deliver it in the way the user wants it, not the way the network dictates.
Yeah. Mark, what are your thoughts on the future of this space? How are you seeing it evolve, or how are you sort of with your crystal ball thinking we're all where we're going to end up?
Yeah, I mean, and to Zeus's point, right? It's people ask me all the time. It's like, why are you still doing voice? You're a dinosaur. Voice is dying, and I always tell them it's like there's more voice today than there ever has been. It's just the way in which you access that voice. Are you doing it via mobile or hosted PBX or app or anything else, right? It's all voice, and it's just how you access it. And so, I just think that it's not just fixed mobile, it's convergence of all these different ways of doing it into one, and just delivering voice into any medium that a customer may want, and being able to do that very simply. And so I just think that it's not just, what we're talking about today, but in the future, everything's going to be converged, and it's just going to be how do you consume it on demand.
Yeah, it's a good point that Mark brings, because when you digitize something, you actually make it much easier to embed it in other things. And so remember, people used to say that when we digitized music, right, MP3s, that would be the end of the music industry, but it took off, right? When, the movies came to Netflix and things like that, people said that would kill theaters, but they took off, right? So you make that experience much more accessible, and then you drive utilization. So you're right, today we talk to our cars, we talk to our home devices, right? We use voice as an authentication method, right? So voice, and I see that in the research I've done. Voice is still the preferred channel for people, in customer service issues. We may start a conversation through another means, but we eventually do come back to voice. And I look at this industry as voice has never been healthier because we have so many different ways to do it.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a really great place to end today's discussion. I'd just like to say thank you to Zeus and Mark for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching another UC Partner Trend session. If you liked what you saw today, have a look at the website. There's loads of information to get stuck into around this series. But for now, that's it from me. See you next time.